Caught you off guard there,
Morning
Curry.
and welcome to
Oh, yeah,
the
for sure.
Professional Insights podcast, season 6, episode don't know.
We do it by invoice now. It's invoice, not episode.
Oh, is it invoice now? Okay. Well, my name's Brandon Curry. Where's the rest of everybody? Oh, there you guys all.
I'm Jeff Collins.
Josh Bond, invoice 3.
Trevor Lindy.
It's invoice 18 right now.
Okay, sir.
So, boys.
Should we talk about the Cheech and Chong cloud that's hovering all of Niagara in New York right now, or what do you want to go right into business?
Don't really care about that, to be honest.
Have you seen some of the pictures? Some of the pictures in New York? It's insane.
Absolutely.
It shows you how good the carbon tax is working, right?
Oh yeah. Well,
come on.
should we double it or what? Should we double it? I think we should raise it up.
It's forest fires in Quebec that are clouding over New York.
Well,
City.
and the ones in Alberta were found to be arson too, eh?
Oh yeah, because if you look at a Google map of the fires,
you can see the guy setting it. You can see it.
No,
He's flicking a match.
If you look at a Google heat map, it actually there's a couple natural ones that you can just tell they're natural, but then there's a couple of them that all start at the same time, and you're just sitting there going like, that's got to be arson, because nature just doesn't work like that. Like it doesn't happen.
Especially with a carbon tax.
Right. What a goofball.
See,
anyway,
I don't see Trevor does have his Justin Trudeau shirt on today, so
similar government topic, right? I mean,
what JT
like we're haters on the government all the time.
I got a JT shirt. Justin Timberlake.
I mean, if anyone is actually watching an old recording, or some people download our episodes and they don't.
That's what people do on the weekends usually, right? They download our old episodes and watch it.
And they go and garden or something. I don't know what they do.
Garden.
Maybe.
That's like party stuff.
Canada's burning. You can't build a nation on hate. Thanks, Kendra. But we were saying the
True, though, you can't build a nation
anyone that's watching it, it's the day after. It's Thursday, June the 8th, where we're live today, but the day after the Bank of Canada graciously, wonderfully did us all a bloody favor and increased the overnight lending rate.
Isn't it just about when everybody's about to renew their mortgages too? Like since they started it, the renewals are just starting to really trickle in right now. It's perfect time.
So I mean, basically, I'll let Trevor pull up some data. I know he's got some of that because we were talking about it.
You can tell he was reading the screen there. You see the look on his face.
Yeah, you're doing.
I am trying to figure out what happened to my.
He's a little cross-eyed there for a second.
Is that what I look like? I'm trying to figure out what happened to Safari. It just all of a sudden decided to close.
Another Apple product. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, have you been using Chat GTP bot there? It's taking over.
No, you know what? I actually did install. There's a way to put AI into your shortcuts on your iPhone. So it's called it's Siri Pro basically. So it's kind of neat. You say, the hey, and then the word, and then say Siri Pro afterwards, and start to ask it to do shit.
Yeah.
Right?
You mean poop?
Exactly. Some of the things that
PG show, bro.
Yeah. Some of the things on the AI are pretty crazy that people are doing, like get it to write an article.
Crazy and scary.
Have you seen Maximum Overdrive or The Terminator?
Have I
seen Maximum
Overdrive?
AI's taken over.
So
never looked at a transport truck the same way after that.
Boys, the Bank of Canada overnight lending rate.
Yep.
Right. So the overnight, the bank's borrowing rate, it's at 5%. The overnight lending rate,
4.75.
No. I know it's 4.75. The bank borrows at 4.75 plus a quarter of a basis point. That's 5. And we all know prime is roughly around 2% plus the overnight. So we got prime now at around 6.75%. 6.95. It's 2.2. Awesome. So
it's super awesome. Just as the market's recovering.
Awesome. I don't know. I've had clients call. They're like, what's your take? Like, what do you? And I go, I honestly, I don't have any answers because the underlying, I don't know what data they're looking at. I mean, we're hearing it from, a bunch of us, as you know, we're with the, thanks, Kristen. The
That's a great product right there. I like that product.
Amazon Prime. Yeah, thanks, babe. Yeah, really appreciate that.
You got to put it out there because just so
She's
that
not
I don't know if
wrong.
the listeners
She's
can
not wrong. Oh,
guess.
I'm glad she's killing herself laughing right now.
Yeah.
She's dying laughing. But I've got clients who are just basically, I just,
How do
I don't know what to
we
tell them.
connect this to the government spending like banshees? Can we connect this to the government spending like
100%
banshees
you
during
can.
the pandemic? Right? Like, are we
Um,
feeling these effects as a direct result of their frivolous spending throughout
Yeah. So
some of that time?
basically, this is what we know. There's an economist. We've touched this on our podcast before. There's an economist called Dr. Stephen Hanke, and he was interviewed by Jon Stewart. And the podcast is, for Jon Stewart's podcast, which is the problem with is Jon Stewart. And it's a 2-hour podcast. It's a really great one. I sent it to Trev. Trev, listened to it. I listened to it. It was great. I highly suggest that you guys look at it, because what I really liked about it was Jon Stewart asked asked questions, very practical, pragmatic questions or theories, and also came back with some theories.
I like
And
Stewart. Stewart's good.
and he but in a common language way. Do you know what I mean? Like it wasn't a highbrow conversation.
Yeah.
And Stephen Hanke came back and rebutted all of these bloody theories, and a couple of them being modern monetary theory, and also the spending and increasing the money supply. And he did some research, and he went all the way back to about Trev, correct me, I think it's the mid 50s or 60s, where he went back worldwide and looked at monetary policy. So for any of our listeners that are out there, or video viewers, so there's two things that you're going to hear a lot of. You're going to hear monetary policy. So when you hear monetary, think money and who prints money, the bank or the central bank of that particular country. So that particular institution, in Canada's case, it's the Bank of Canada. In the US's case, it's called the Federal Reserve. In both of those cases, they are in charge of interest rates and monetary policy. You then hear something called fiscal policy. Fiscal, think year, think a fiscal year. Well, who's in charge of tabling budgets and spending in a fiscal year? Well, that's the government of the day. So in this particular case, it'd be the Liberal Party of Canada for the federal fiscal policy. And in Ontario's case, it would be the Progressive Conservatives for the Ontario fiscal policy. When Stephen looked at it,
fiscal year could start any time throughout the calendar year, right? But ends.
That's why.
One
so
full
like
year
Canada's,
later.
so the province of Ontario and the federal government, their fiscal year is April 1st. Fiscal year ends March 31st.
Yeah.
So you'll always have a budget being tabled in around March. Here's the thing. Here's the kicker. The kicker is when he looked at it at a macro level, meaning a countrywide level, for every 2% they increased the money supply. So they somehow injected that into the economy through different measures. Inflation grew at approximately 1%. So there's usually a 2-to-1 ratio of growth that ends up happening between increasing the money supply and inflation. So to put into perspective, if the Bank of Canada wants to allow inflation to grow naturally, well, then they can just let supply and demand happen, or you can artificially do it. And if 2% is your target, you increase the monetary supply by 4% to get a 2% inflationary rate. Now, when you circle back and you look at how much money was spent during COVID, $400 billion just in Canada alone, and they're still spending, and money is still going out. What ends up happening is that artificially puts fuel on the fire of a fire that's already burning, raging hot with inflation. So Trevor brought up a great point. Both him and I, for various reasons. One, Trevor, you've been on a wait list for your car for the longest time, as I have as well.
Truck.
But all of those deposits on the car, or in my case, I also went and we talked about this before. My road bike got stolen right from my garage while I was home. This happened back in August. So I had to get a new one and couldn't find a half decent priced old one, or used one. And I made that deposit back in like late November, December, and I just got it 2 weeks ago. Right?
Wow.
Did it get stolen yet?
No, it hasn't gotten stolen yet. But
it's crazy that would happen, though. It happened to me too. I lost my mountain bike. It was 9:30 at night. It still wasn't dark. Somebody scooped it right out of my garage.
Let's not even talk about that stuff.
No.
But yeah. I think Jeff has his beat there.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't. What are you talking about? Have they found the guys yet?
Yeah, they look like you.
Here, this
They
is
look
what
like
we're gonna
axe throwers.
Okay, this is back to the topic at hand, guys. Okay, let's just.
You're on a roll there. I mean, I want to. I want to understand that other 1% and how, when monetary policy, we supply that 2% in. We infuse an additional 2%.
So because a couple things happen. So what ends up happening is when you increase money supply. So basically, an economy works in like an ecosystem, right? Mm-hmm. So money is put a fixed amount, or what was back in 1971 under the gold standard. All the money that was printed for the economy was linked to how much gold you had in reserves. Well, that got delinked back in 1971. So now you're just basically relying on fiat currency, which is the US greenback or the Canadian dollar, and you're relying on good faith that these debts will be paid and the economy will continue to grow. And there's nothing to say that it won't happen. But when you start printing money, or when you start borrowing from other countries and converting their currency into your currency, you're now injecting more money into the money supply. Well, a couple things happen. When there's more of something, but the demand stays the same, the value of that thing relative to another thing, in this case, the US dollar, decreases, right? Because there's more of it.
Yep.
Supply and demand.
Yep.
So your currency gets devalued. If your currency gets devalued, especially in the worldwide currency, which is essentially the US dollar, your purchasing power for imports goes down because your currency is worth less, because I can't buy as much US dollars.
Yeah.
So if I can't buy as much US dollars as I could yesterday, the things that I need to buy today cost more Canadian dollars, because I got to buy more. It costs me more for US dollars to buy that very thing from, let's say, the US, China. It doesn't matter. It's all in US dollars. So that also increases the cost of the good coming into the country, which increases inflation. Right? That's how it basically goes.
Yep.
The other thing that happens.
Sorry, keep going, Brad.
Okay, so then the other thing that happens. So for any economist that's watching, I know it's much more complicated than this, and I'm not saying I'm a Stephen Hanke, but it's just something. This is at least the 10,000 feet view of how it all works. Now, then what ends up happening is you give people money that isn't correlated to anything, meaning they didn't have to do anything to get it. So CERB in Canada would be one thing. Well, if all of a sudden I'm used to like a 16, 17-year-old is living at home, was working part-time, and let's say they were grossing about $2,000 a month. Along comes COVID. All right. Well, that person still has the same expenses as they had before, but now because their hours are gotten dropped and you're allowed to make up to $1,000 a month to get CERB, you can now get, instead of 2,000 gross by working what you used to work, you're now making 3,000 gross. And I know what people are going to say. Well, you got to pay it back or it's going to get taxed. That is true. However, as we're seeing right now, CRA is trying to go after these people that claimed that shouldn't have claimed, and they're having a lot more harder of a time getting their money back than they did before. The second thing is, regardless, it's still a year later, and this is what Trevor usually harps on. Whenever you increase money supply or have any fiscal policy, it takes about 12 months for it to work through the system. So what Trevor and I did,
8 to 12
bare
months.
minimum. So we make deposits on my bike, or Trevor makes a deposit on his car. It takes him 2 years to get the car. It takes me 8 months to get the bike. Okay. But that purchase doesn't get registered 6 to 8 months ago, or in Trevor's case, 2 years ago, which is the data that the Bank of Canada is using. The purchase gets registered in today's month. So the Bank of Canada goes, whoa, they don't know it on a granular level, but they're just like, but in this case, they just bought a brand new truck, and then Curry bought a brand new bike. Well, we bought it a while ago when we made a decision based on that 8 months ago, based on the current financial situation. We didn't make that decision today. So
you committed 8 months ago. Yeah.
I committed.
In my case, I committed last January to buy the truck. I just took delivery on it. So I'm going to go into June's data. For car sales.
You got it?
It's all
yesterday. Yeah.
But it's all
nice.
It's
good for you.
All delayed. It's all delayed. Right. So now, but the problem is they're using data in order to make their decisions, like CPI data. But the thing is these decisions, these purchasing decisions, have been made months and months and months ago. When you decide to buy a house, that's really nice. When you decide to buy a house, you make a house purchase 2 to 3 months before, or you apply for a mortgage, you try to lock in a rate maybe 6 months before, or whatever the case may be. You try to get these approvals before. And then all of a sudden you get penalized for a decision you made 3 or 4 months ago based on the economic conditions that were 3, 4, 8, in Trevor's case, 18 months ago.
Should you order your new truck now, Trev? Should you order your next truck now, Trev?
I accidentally muted myself somehow. No, I wouldn't. It's
a joke.
Knowing 450 basis points. Come on, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. The interest is crazy.
So,
and you get caught like that, right? You get caught. I feel bad for people that got caught in that situation. Like, you know what? Like if you're playing the variable fixed mortgage rate and you got caught, well, you know what? You knew that there was a chance that you can get caught, right? But I mean, if you're going and you're buying a vehicle and you're expecting delivery within, a few months, and then this shit happens and you don't get it for 18 months, man.
Did you get the interest rate from 18 months ago, or did you get today's interest rate?
No, and that's what we keep.
See, that's the bullshit.
Today's rate. Right? No, so because here's the real kicker. So although the deposit went down last January and the contract was negotiated,
you lost all the interest on that deposit too for a year and a half.
Yeah. And so as soon as the model year changes, done. So I went from ordering a 2022 in January, and they essentially told me that expect at the very earliest July, August delivery, more likely in the fall. So this is still 2022.
Yeah, okay. But at least that's what you go into with, right?
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, nope, fall is here. No, sorry, you're going to be getting a 2023.
Did you bring up the interest rate concern at all at the time too, or did you just not even think about it?
No, 100%. Given what I do for a living, it was on my mind the whole time.
What did they tell you?
They told me there is nothing they can do about it. Toyota Credit Canada will not play ball.
But you got a pretty good trade-in on your old truck, right? You got a good buyout, right?
Yeah. I don't understand.
That's quite a bit of the interest, right?
Yeah.
No. Like, look on your buyouts. When the pandemic started, I tell you, I went and seen somebody in terms of the value of my little Lexus 300 there. And they said you get about 15 grand for it. Mm-hmm. I Googled it. Right now I can get about 25.
Yeah.
So trade-in values are
through the roof,
which offset the
Through the
interest a
roof
little
too,
bit
right?
right there too, right?
Yeah,
So
but
it
here's the
offsets
thing,
it.
though. Like, but
You can't get both.
But here's the problem.
When was the
problem that
trade-in value though? Was the trade-in value yesterday, or was the trade-in value
For
18
me?
months ago?
Yesterday.
Yeah, so you did good there.
Yeah. But at the same time, the trade-in value last year when we did up the paperwork in January was $9,000 more than it was yesterday.
today. Yeah.
Yeah. It was
So
$9,000
these things,
more.
people like, oh, they're spending. Well,
So
yeah,
you
they're
lost
spending
twice.
because but these people are spending. They're spending on excess income. So you have that 17, 18-year-old kid that turned around and got an extra $1,000 every month to live at home in their mother's basement, or people that were double dipping on multiple social programs that shouldn't have. It wasn't tied to anything. It was stay at home. Here's some money. Okay, well, what did they end up
Free
doing?
cash.
They just ended up turning around and spending the money and just driving up inflation. So that's the other thing that happens: supply and demand.
Well, but I think the biggest inflation drive up was improving people's houses, though, right? Because they were stuck at home. So it's the fences that went up and the decks that went up and all that stuff, and the floors and the kitchens and all that, and the pools, right? The pools, saunas, hot tubs. Those were through the roof.
Contributed, right?
Yeah.
I know, but the little kid who got the extra $1,000 a month, how much did it really do? It's the people who couldn't go on vacation and probably not buy cars. They had this excess cash. Like, fuck, I'm home all the time. I got to do something here.
So no, there's that piece. But when you look at it as a whole, no, I'm not saying that the 17-year-old with the extra $1,000, that is just one example of that money got spent when normally they probably would have spent that extra $1,000.
Sure,
but
and that's $1,000 a month, right?
It's the tradespeople though that
20 grand.
They went through the roof on their labor costs because there's so much demand to get stuff done at home. Like it was unreal.
Well, not only that though, but here's the other thing. If we all remember, in the province of Ontario, back in 2016, with the provincial government of the day, the Liberal government of the day, they wanted to take the minimum wage and go from around 11, I think it was like $12.25 or something an hour, and jump it up to 15, and then subsequently jump it up to just over 16. And then our current provincial government right now, the Conservatives, went and they jumped it up to, now this coming October, it's going to be $16.55. Then they also turned around and went to all the servers and said, oh no, it's just one flat rate for a server now, or for a minimum wage. You don't get a multiple. So these servers who were making around $11.25, $11.50 an hour, literally 5 years ago, are now making $16.55. Their minimum wage, which a server doesn't even look at it, this coming from a server, it just goes into my bank account. Like it just went into my bank account, right? It grew by 50%. So you took the number one cost in any organization, which is labor, and jacked up the floor by 50% to a restaurateur, or to a normal person, it went up around 42 or 38 to 42% since 2015. Well, what's going to happen? It just takes a couple of months before the business owner turns around and goes, I'm passing this on to the customer. So that turns around and prices increase and inflation goes through the roof. It's math. It's economics. This is not anything how I feel or all this type of thing. This is what happens when you willy-nilly and you arbitrarily increase the money supply or increase minimum wage without any correlation to anything. But then what ends up happening? Okay, well, now you have a server making $16.50 an hour. I know that I've got a couple of clients that were PSWs in the province of Ontario. Okay.
Yep.
A PSW before the pandemic was, I think, starting with no experience, was around $18 an hour, if my memory serves me correctly. Well, they didn't get a 38 to 40% pay increase. So who the heck wants to change diapers at $18,
that's a
$19,
fucking tough,
$20?
Sorry, that's right? A tough job, man.
It's a job. No, I'm not saying it's not, but who wants to change diapers at $18, $19, $20 an hour, getting abused in an old age home by, you're working with people with dementia and with illnesses.
Yeah.
And
it's crazy.
Yet some 17-year-old kid is getting paid $16.55 an hour
and tips
to to plus tips, or just $16.55 an hour to go, do you want fries with that?
And so, PSW's got to go to school too.
100%. And then the PSW wages have to go up. Okay. Well, unions, rightfully so, use the minimum wage as one of their indicators as to how high or how much the delta needs to be between minimum wage and the specific position that they're negotiating for. Well, what do you think nurses are going to do? Rightfully so. An RPN can't start at 23 anymore. They got to go 27, 28. So it just goes all the way down the line to the point where, okay, then my taxes go up. So like it has such a massive knock-on effect that, to what Trevor and I have been saying, this is why it takes 12 to 18 months in order for something to work itself through the system, because everything it's a yin and a yang. Everything has.
So you're saying the 9 interest rate raises last year haven't worked its way through the system yet, and they're already
starting to now.
Well, what has happened? I know you're saying that sarcastically, but it's no, they haven't. Right? We're not going to see the effects of actually. We won't see the effects of these until probably end of this year, beginning of next.
Yeah, realistically,
spring next year.
Well, we've talked about it before, right? As they increase rates, it's a minimum of 8 to 12 months, right? But realistically, it's more like 18 to 20. We need 6 to 8 quarters, which is 18 to 24 months to actually feel the impact of what they've done. And unfortunately, because like everything else, the government always does things along the lines of, let's focus on demand, not supply. Look what it's doing to the housing market. I'm pretty sure we talked about it in a past episode. Do you know why the CPI went up to 4.4 in April from 4.3 in March? Housing cost and rent, right? So mortgage rates are up. So those that are renewing, those that are in variable rates, their payments are up. And in turn, those people renting, landlords are asking more money for the rental space. Vacancies at an all-time low, unemployment's at an all-time low. What do? Cost goes up. So the very thing that the Bank of Canada is trying to reverse, inflation, lower it down, they are directly impacting now by increasing it. And the pricks did it again yesterday. And to take it one step further, there is a high likelihood that they'll go by another quarter point as a birthday present to you, Jeff, on July 12th.
Woo! Raise those rates.
That's their next meeting. And like the part that drives me absolutely nuts is you've got the governor of the Bank of Canada making close to $500,000 a year on taxpayer money, controlling the livelihood of the low peasants, the middle class. There is going to be no more middle class the way it's going.
It's gone, man. It's on its way out. Like, I mean,
here's some data for you guys. Here's some data.
Before you get into the data, Curry, what I wanted to comment on is you got a higher minimum wage there, but you got to compact that with, since the pandemic, less people want to work too. And they want to work less, right?
Yep.
So unemployment's right down in the gutter there, right? So
to put this into perspective, in 2021, according to the census backgrounder for the GTHA, so the Greater Toronto Hamilton area. So Toronto, you could say, obviously Vancouver's in this mix and Montreal's in the mix and stuff like that, is one of the most expensive cities to live in. So in 2021, the median, not the mean. The mean is the average. You don't use averages because they can get very easily skewed. So the median, or the most popular income in 2021, yes, in the city of Toronto, was $84,000, and that increased by 18,000 since 2016. All right, so the lowest of all the regions, this is the lowest of all the Greater Toronto and Hamilton regions. The highest was in Halton at 121,000. So I've got a client that Trevor and I both have spoken to each other about, mutual client. And this particular client is applying for a potential promotion, right? And the promotion, if this person gets it, would be a 20% increase. 20% increase.
20% raise.
Yep. Which is a huge promotion.
Absolutely.
Okay. If they get it. To put that into perspective, before any other deductions or anything of that nature. All right. So this person would be making higher than the median income in Toronto, and around if they get this position around the Halton region, right? That's to put that into context. Okay. Just factoring in federal, provincial tax and CPP and EI. Okay. So I'm not factoring in any other deductions because the client doesn't know what the deductions would be for group benefits, long-term disability. Is it WSIB applicable? We don't know. Or is there a pension contribution? We don't know those answers. So I just ran numbers for them, comparing old salary versus potentially this promotional salary. The difference in after-tax income is $400 every 2 weeks with a 20% pay increase. $40. That's $400 every 2 weeks. So that's essentially, I mean, I can tell you with our family of 4, we're looking at around weekly groceries. I don't think we can get weekly groceries under $200. So essentially that entire raise is going to groceries, just groceries. So the family is not significantly better off. Because the tax rates haven't changed. So you're in that between the $70,000 and $130,000. I can't even believe this is coming out of my mouth for people that are listening. Don't mistaken what I'm saying as I'm just throwing this away. This is not good. So that $70,000 to $120,000, $130,000 a year, you're basically within the median income in Toronto and in Halton, in Ontario.
Is that individual or household?
Individual.
Do you know, Brent? Okay.
Oh, good question, Bondo. Oh, great catch. I misspoke. Very good catch. The median total household income. So if you're making more than $84,000 a year in 2021, you're higher than the total household median income in Toronto. And this person is just like, oh my God. So people like, because the tax rates are so high relative to the income at those levels. Like, it's crazy. Like, I ran it for this person and I told them, okay, basically, if you stay at your current job, right, for every $100 that you make in extra salary, you're going to be taxed at $38 or 38%. So your net take home before any other deductions is $62. If this person gets the promotion, for every extra $100, they get taxed at $43, or the net is now $57.
Now, that having been said, it's terrible, but those are instances where somebody like yourself could maybe assist, right? Like in rolling some of this money into an RRSP or different strategies that you can create that lowers hopefully that tax bracket, right? Like
correct.
Here, just for
it still doesn't. It still smells like shit, right? I'm not saying that it doesn't smell like shit. That's the position that you're in. That it's a 20% increase to just flush out, right? Essentially, is what you're saying.
Curry, so given the current state of everything, how often are your clients coming to you and saying, when they're in that position, they're getting more money, they're like, oh, great idea, I'm going to invest more right now? Who's actually bumping up their investments? They're not. They're potentially cutting them back, right?
Yes.
Or or they're
Correct.
remaining
so basically
the same.
We're going out actively now and increasing packs and or monthly, but we're actively going out and doing it.
Yeah.
And nobody actively comes to me, very, very rarely, and goes, I want to increase my monthly contributions. Very rarely. Does not
Yeah, but
happen.
I mean, even you proactively going out and having the conversation with the client, when they're in that position and they've got more income coming in, are they eager to turn around and say, yeah, that's a great idea,
No.
I'm going to do it? No, right
Very
now,
rarely.
given how financially tight everybody's life is in one way or another, nobody's investing more money at this moment.
But this is the time that you have to be investing more, right? This is the time where you
Oh,
should be
it
buying
is.
real
There
estate.
are people that do
But
that.
when most
Sure.
people would, but when most people turn, but to Trevor's point, when you're looking at getting a promotion, so you're getting increased job, job responsibility.
Yeah.
This is not that's a significant something to consider. Like I've always said to people, listen, don't do a job change, don't do a promotion unless you get at least a 10% bump in pay. And the reason being is because this is exactly why when you factor in the taxes before any other contributions, you're not left with a lot at the end of the day. So this person is considering a 20% increase in their pay. And it pays for groceries. That's pretty much what their response was. So basically my without any other deductions, because I don't know what they are, I did the math for them, right? We ran it through.
Yeah.
And so this person goes, so basically groceries are covered. And I went, yep, groceries. So you're getting all this extra responsibility just to break even on the grocery bill every 2 weeks. That's not including a Costco trip. That's not including anything like, and so to your point, to Trevor's point, what Trevor's saying is, okay, now that you should be like, okay, well, now I have an extra, in this particular case, $400 every 2 weeks. Maybe I should start, putting money away. Bondo, you're right. But logically, they turn around and go, well, wait a second. To what Jeff started off the call with today was, okay, gas prices are through the bloody roof. Car prices are through the bloody roof. Just everyday living is through the bloody roof right now. So I don't know if I can start putting money away. Like, I don't know. And I go, that's fair. And you can't make that decision until you A, have the job, B, start seeing what a pay cycle looks like. You know what I mean? Like it's pretty, it's bad right now. Like, and I don't know. Like Trevor and I talk all the time about this because we mutually swap clients and stuff like that. As you guys all know, the four of us all do that.
That actually sounded pretty dirty.
If your brain
the swap, the swap part of it,
I didn't seem dirty at all to me. I don't know about you guys. Trevor, you got a bad mind now.
I did, at first I didn't, but now that it's second thought, yeah, for sure, I'm with you.
Now he's planted the seed of
but
his
even
perversion.
well, Jeff, like
what seed are you
like,
talking about, Jeff? You being perverted?
No,
It's
wholesome.
So Jeff, go like the conversations that you were having, pre 2022 or maybe even pre 2023 with your new builds. What are the conversations that people are having now? Because there's still people that need housing.
Well, it's interesting because we've got a bunch for sale that are done and they're not going, but we've got tons of people that want to custom build with us right now because they think it's a better value. They can get a bit ahead, right? If they're building on their own land. So I've got 3 or 4 clients right now that want to build on their own land. And we've got 5 townhouses that are done at great prices. And I don't know how this interest rate change is going to affect that or not. Like the market was this is the biggest thing. The resale market took off. The new build market didn't. The new build market, the builders that I know are all just sitting there waiting for theirs to sell. And they're not really moving right now. So it's interesting.
Not 50 Demeus says foursomes coming to premium.
Yeah, it costs you your marriage usually.
Yeah, that would cost you your marriage.
I think that's like a 95% marriage dissolve when you get a foursome.
And how many would take that role for one of those opportunities?
A foursome.
Foursome, no, thank you.
Yeah,
I just get messy really, really quick.
No.
Yeah, so it's just really it's crazy what's happening right now. And then Trevor, you think that they're still leaning and still actively considering a rate increase in July?
We'll see what the outcry is from this one right there.
What outcry is coming, bud?
We'll see.
Honestly,
when this hits
who's
New
gonna
Zealand,
listen?
Our podcast, the New
Who's
Zealanders
gonna
are going to be
listen?
up in arms.
That's true.
It's all because of this podcast. You watch. You have no idea what this is going to do after today, Crev. Just us talking about it now. You don't think Trudeau's listening to this and Tiff Macklem?
You don't think we can influence the government?
Tiff, get your shit together, bro.
Yeah, that's right.
Not going to do anything about it.
Well, with that
they've been charged with one task: to get inflation restored to 2%.
And they're using their 1920s playbook to do it, right? They're not updating it at all.
No, that's right.
And why 2%? Why not 2.5 or 3?
Originally, a dart at a dartboard.
Exactly, right?
So it's wildly frustrating to see, like, Jeff's comment, we're coming into the slow time in the market of the summer.
Well, so July is usually dead for real estate.
Right.
It's not dead for any other reason than people enjoying the weather, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We can go outdoors for the next month because of the wildfires that are going. Welland just banned open air fires just now. So you can't even have a backyard fire anymore until this is all passed through.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that every region is going to do that as a region.
Makes sense.
Well, it's crazy that those New York pictures is insane.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to.
Monty and Laura just went to New York City today.
Ooh, that's not a good time to go.
Yeah, they had a vacation plan like you and Jill had.
Oh, we went perfect timing. Could have been. It was the best ever.
Yeah, and they're
Book of Mormon. If you haven't seen it, go see Book of Mormons. I have never laughed so hard.
His play. Monty and Laura's niece is actually singing at Carnegie Hall.
No
choir.
Shit.
Yeah, so Skiba's daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're off to New York City for that. So they didn't have a choice. This is the time they have to go because their niece's daughter, niece is
Skiba's oldest.
You know what? I don't know.
Has to be because the little one's only like 4.
Okay,
3,
so then it'd be the oldest. Yeah, Carnegie Hall.
You know what? That trip me and my wife went on was probably one of my favorite trips ever.
She had that talent. Sorry.
Yeah.
If you haven't been in New York, you got to go. It's just the place that does not sleep.
New York and Vegas. You have to check those places out.
Vegas is next on the trip.
Yeah. You got to check
Vegas is next.
Out.
Yeah.
Jeff has some comments, I think, about the new builds and stuff like that he had.
No, I was going to air some grievances. That's about it. But
okay.
Well,
no, I thought you were just
remember. Me and Curry talked about this last night. I think we should bring this up, Curry, because Curry's a big, loves the idea of One Niagara. And yesterday, when you brought that up, I really liked the idea just from a point of pushing new builds through. Because the big thing right now is we need more houses, more houses, blah blah blah.
I agree, Jeff. But before, you got to give everyone. You got to remember, we have a huge following in Zimbabwe. New Zealand, right? So can you please go ahead, Zimbabwe? Can you please explain to our viewers and our listeners in Bali, right? What are we talking about? What are you talking about? Put it in layman's terms.
We're just talking about getting the ability to build a house. That's it.
No. When you say One Niagara, what does it mean?
Oh, well, I think all of Niagara's biggest pusher for that, so I give you the floor. This was a big push, 2-3 years ago, I think, right? And it should come back up.
Okay. Well, first we'll just we got one question here. Do you guys have any sense of an untapped basement apartment rentals among urban homes? I'm
not sure if you refer to the fact that you can now add accessory apartments or convert houses to duplexes now, and it's not
garden suites.
It doesn't have to be zoned anymore, and you can add granny suites and garden suites. That's the new big push, and to me, it's a huge game changer. For example, I'm selling a property on Babbian Road right now in Port Colborne. It's 10 acres. And there's significant interest in it because everybody thinks they can sever it and make 10 1-acre parcels. That can't happen. But what can happen is now If you want to buy that house and add a granny suite, which is, if you want to do a 2,000 square foot house, you could. You just can't sever it to have two addresses. But if you want, say you're a 45-year-old couple and you've got mom and dad who are 65 to 7-year-old couple, you want to sell their house, kind of help them out with, topping up their pensions so they take that money. You could build a house on their property that is like 1A and 1B, the two houses. You can't sever the two houses, and that's considered like a garden suite or a granny suite. Garden suite's more of, there's no room in the backyard in Toronto. They want to add a little bit of a 200 square foot house.
Can I chime in on that?
No, you
can. I chime in? So that
anybody but Trevor, please.
Okay, no. But this is important. So the fact that you can build on a lot, you're not allowed to sever the lot. So when that individual goes to sell it, if they're still unable to sever the lot, when it comes to getting mortgage financing, guess what? Second property worth $0 because they will only lend on the primary residence and a detached garage. No outbuildings, no second suites, nothing. The value will be based on the house
first-time buyers can't do it, but a second-time buyer could, who's looking for a property like that, right? You'd have to have a bigger down payment then.
So you got to be looking at it as like a duplex almost, right?
Yeah, but you're buying $1 million property, you're gonna have to put down $300,000 yourself.
Yeah. So, but then
first-time buyers aren't buying that type of property.
No, I know, but when you're pricing out the house in the future and saying, "Hey, this is great value because you've got this property worth X and this property worth Y." So because you've got, this little suite that's worth maybe $200,000 from a real estate value, if it was a separate piece of property, because that's how you're going to price it as a realtor, and this main one at $750,000. So bottom line is this is worth $950,000. Not going to happen.
No,
it will be valued on the $700,000.
Yeah.
But why would it not happen? I think it's still going to be market value appreciated. It doesn't matter if they can get the financing or not. If they have their own money for it,
correct.
It's just whether or not they can get a mortgage for that. Sure, there are going to be people out there that can buy that cash.
Yes, but
sure, if they
have,
I
think the footprint's got to be smaller, right? Because you can't have that big of a granny suite, right?
No, I know, but if you, and really it comes into, it's going to be municipal red tape too, because there's a building envelope on every lot of where you can build or how much you can build.
Correct.
For example, in Welland, it's 45% of the lot.
Yeah.
In Fort Erie, it's 30% of the lot.
Yeah.
But you can still get a minor variance on that to increase that size.
Mm-hmm.
So what they're doing in Toronto is doing that because they have no room or anything anywhere. Yep. They do have family members who want to live on the site, and then you have, say, a 50-year-old couple who have the money to do it, and they want to bring mom home, but they don't want her under the same roof. They want to give her a little bit of privacy, so they'll build. And it might not even cost that much to do in the backyard. It's almost like a pool house you could build, right?
Slab on.
It could be done on slab. You could have like electric heat or whatever. Yeah. But the fact that you're saying you're not going to get the value for it, no, you might not get the mortgage. You'll still get the value for it. 100% you would.
But the point I'm making though is
harder to move.
You're not going to
be hard to get the financing for it, but
and the reality is, if you can't finance it, then how are you going to sell it, right? Because statistically, how many people get mortgages, right? I understand what you're saying. The value of the property is still there. You're not.
But you're looking at mortgages, and a lot of people look at mortgages. Mortgages I look at are a lot of people who are buying are first-time buyers or second-time buyers. You're a third or fourth-time buyer. You're probably downsizing at that point. You might be, or you're playing with more with no mortgage whatsoever.
But then
which is a big chunk of the market in Niagara.
Now, this income suite, though, who's the income suite going to benefit most?
Well, it might not be an income suite. It might be mom or dad moving in there and paying you rent with pension.
But if mom and dad are moving in there, and we put mom, dad, husband, wife on the deal together, or whoever. We put them all on, right? And we qualify the deal accordingly.
But you might not. I think you might not need to. You could probably get it for just the primary house. Mom sells her house for $700,000. She gives Bill and Bobby Joe $200,000. They build that garden suite in the backyard with that $200,000. There's no mortgage needed whatsoever, and then she banks the extra $500,000.
And
I don't think a mortgage is needed in these situations in most cases. If you go to resell in the future,
your purchasing pool is smaller. I'm making, though, right? Your purchasing pool is smaller.
But is it smaller because there's more and more people looking for this now?
Without mortgage rules,
growing. Yeah. It's growing. I agree that I think the ideology is that you you do these garden suites, and you put your parents in, or your derelict brother or whatever, that jackass that can't afford to support himself, right?
Yeah,
like,
that goes to law school and tries to take over your practice.
Yeah, that dirty bastard. Not in my case.
Don't be slandering John.
No, it was all in good fun.
No, I don't like that. There's
So
a
the
little
point
bit of
I'm
truth
making,
in every jab.
What I'm trying to say though is, okay, value today, the future value, unless mortgage rules change, majority of people rely on getting a mortgage.
Well,
They
but
need
you
that
got to look
mortgage
at this
to do it.
situation
So
that's
if the
coming up.
value isn't going to support two properties.
This is in its infancy right now. So right now, people aren't taking advantage, but I'm targeting that right now. I'm telling my builders that I represent who buy infills, don't ever sell an infill anymore as a new build. Turn it into a duplex, because there's not enough brand new rentals out there. And the big change now with the rental control and the new builds, like you can sign a 2-year lease now, right? If it's built after 2000, I think, what is it, 17 or 18 or 19?
I thought it was 16, but don't quote me on that.
Sign a 2-year lease, and their 2 years is up, and they didn't sign an extension on it like that. Okay, we're jacking your rent, and it's not on that small interest, right? So people are looking for new rentals and duplexes because they're not that 1920s duplex they have that has aluminum wire or knob and tube wiring and asbestos and all that stuff. They want something new. And now the big changes in municipalities, doesn't matter if it's zoned for a duplex anymore. As long as the square footage doesn't change, you can turn that new build into a duplex. And that's a monster change in the build industry.
Huge.
Because there's a huge desire for more people out there to have these new rental properties. So the landlord's protected that if the values go up, you can still cover on a cap rate. Right now, you can't. You know how many times I go to look at a house?
People can't afford to live anymore, right? I mean, there's got to be some solutions,
Well,
and this is one of the
hates
solutions.
these landlords that charges these rents, but the landlord's got to pay the mortgage.
And the interest,
right?
Yeah.
If it's not covering the mortgage, they're losing money monthly. Why keep it as a rental? Right?
Because there are some landlords that get into
you've got someone who's lived there for 10 years and they're paying $750 a month, and the value of the house is $600,000. That's not even covering half the mortgage.
Not even close.
Well, how about we go down? So if you can talk about Niagara and talk about why the reduction of the red tape and the potential, like, that's on the table right now in the news. It's not like we're not talking about something that's not in the news, but the potential amalgamation of some cities or all cities in Niagara. But as a builder, Jeff, can you just walk us through the different, don't name the municipalities, but definitely for people that aren't familiar with Niagara, there's 12 different municipalities plus a regional government. All have different bylaws, all have different
procedures,
all have different
employees who are running this too, right?
So give an example. Give an example between City A and City B in Niagara without, because I don't want you to, shoot yourself.
Well, I'll just talk about the most recent experience we have right now. We're building products in a particular city. See how good I can be at being vague on this. One of the houses we have sold, they would like the basement to be finished. Okay. So keep in mind, we've already got the build permit. The house is done. Structure is all in place. Nothing needs to be engineered whatsoever. So when you're finishing a basement in Niagara, or probably
and normally
Ontario,
you don't finish
general,
a basement on a new build.
No, well, some people do. More and more builds do, right? The problem on a new build, if you don't finish the basement with the builder, you can't finish it for 1 year, or you void warranty on the basement with the builder if you're a legal builder in Ontario. Okay, so I can be very specific in what I talk about this and vague in which municipalities we're talking about. Really, when you're getting a permit, it's to protect a homeowner or the future homeowner that it's done right. And the reason you get a permit, you want to make sure the structure is done right. A basement permit, really all you need to is have the inspector come in before the drywall goes up to make sure it's framed properly. But the main structure for the house is already permitted on the house build, right? So when you're finishing a basement, you're not adding extra structure to support the house load. That's done. So really on a basement permit, the only engineering we need that's not even required by every municipality is an HVAC design. Because now where your heat registers are, some municipalities would like it on the ceiling blowing down. Some would like the registers come down to the wall because hot air rises. So they want it to come out closer to the floor so the hot air comes up. Really? You can go in some builds in Niagara. When I sell a house, I'm looking for resale, and you can see in many basements, there's no cold air returns at all, right? Sometimes they don't even have heat registers in the basement. Sometimes they don't put heat registers, which is a very easy thing if you get a professional HVAC guy to do it. Or you'll see a lot of times there's electric baseboards to heat the basement because the hot air rises. So if you're applying for a build permit for a basement, really you need an HVAC design to show you where the heat registers and cold airs will go. That's about it. Okay. And to be honest, a house inspector should be able to go there to investigate the permits before you close it and be able to say if it's done good or not, right? But they want to take the liability off the city and put it on the engineers. Okay, so we're applying for a particular basement permit. If you look on any municipality in Niagara, 10-day turnaround for a permit. Okay, because they want to show you we're trying to work with you. And if you think about it, as a builder, I'm not trying to, praise our phrases and all that, but as a builder, you're creating tax revenue for the city by paying for a permit. So a 6 block of townhouses, we paid $210,000 in regional fees, development fees, permit fees to the city. Most cities are transparent about how much permit money they take in monthly. Right on their website, you can look it up. So on the 1 month that we applied for the permit, I think the total amount of permit money besides us was about $60,000. We're $206,000. Okay, applying for permit. Now for a basement permit, we now have a buyer who really wants it. They buy in May. They want to move in July. They want the basement finished. We negotiated a deal to get that done. We apply for permit on May 9th. So I have my HVAC design. We have our layout for the basement. Okay, and we have a permit application handed in. Okay. The problem in Niagara is most municipalities, not all of them, aren't paying to retain quality employees. So the employers are saying, this is bull. There's way too much stress for what I got to deal with. I'm going to go work private. I'll get paid more, less stress. Okay. So they let them go and they hire a lot of times the worst of the worst, people who have been fired from other municipalities, but have a sliver of experience, even though it's bad, and they will hire them for it. Okay. So they've done this. We apply for the permit May 9th, May 11th, and I've got this all on emails and everything. May 11th, they looked at the permit and said, okay, we looked at your permit, no smoke detector in the 1 bedroom. We realized that. Okay, no problem. Smoke detector back in 2 hours, done. Then May 25th, they say, we cannot grant you a basement permit because you haven't severed all 6 properties for this. It's a site control plan for it. Our argument is, and this is incompetence in our mind, our argument is when we're getting the permits done on each individual unit, Unit 6 is done, we're ready to drywall, we get an individual inspection for Unit 6. You're good to drywall, we drywall the next day. We apply for permit on a basement for Unit 6, and they say, no, we can't give you a permit because we haven't severed it. We say, what the F is the difference? It's individually inspected upstairs. Can't you grant us the permit for downstairs, get it individually inspected downstairs? People cannot even move in until we have final occupancy permit. It's another stage of the inspections, right? So they say, no, we won't do it. And we're like, this is a City A resident who's moving to another City A resident property who now has that permit money created for this individual product. On top of that, it's going to be new property tax that's coming to the city on a yearly basis, where right now it's making about $300 a year. It's going to be probably $5,500 a year. All right. So really, this is increasing revenues for the city.
100%.
So May 25th,
they got to pick up an extra can of garbage.
Well, May 23rd, after being, applied for May 9th, May 11th, he says, you need a smoke detector, give it to him right away. 23rd, what's going on with the permit? Oh, we can't do it until we have a severance done. Why the hell do you need a severance? We can't do it. Okay, May 25th, severance is complete. May 29th, they say, okay, we'll send it to RSM that we didn't even hear about on May 9th, which is a place that looks over stuff because the city can't handle this. 29th, they give it to them. 30th, they get it. And then our clients are losing their mind because they move in July 6th. 30th, they get it. They come back to us and say, you missed a signature on this application, which should have been looked at May 11th when they noticed the smoke detector wasn't there. 10 minutes later, give them the signature. No problem. Okay, 4 days later, they come back. You're missing this stamp for it. We're like, what do you mean a stamp? The plan doesn't have a stamp. Okay, well, in municipality B, we did it on a napkin. Municipality A, you need a stamp BCIN number from the architect. Why? There's no structure on it. We just need the stamp. Okay, here's the stamp. 10 minutes later. You get back to me the next day. Okay, there's no statement beside the stamp. Statement basically says that I am registered with blah, 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 and I approve of this design. That's all they wanted. What the hell? We have a design system, which is a full paper taking responsibility for the design, signed by the architect. That's not good enough. Hand it to him. 10 minutes later. So May 9th, we're at what? June 8th right now? 10-day turnaround for permit. Still don't have a basement permit in hand to close on July 9th. And our people are freaking out because they have no place to put their stuff. Their house is already sold. This is a resident of City A who's now increasing tax revenue for City A, and they don't care. And our people are going to City A and begging, and now calling the consulting company, begging for them to get it done. My partner has everything ready to board. He did the whole basement, pre-wire, HVAC, carpentry, everything. All we needed to do is board right now, quicker than the 5 minutes it took to look over the application for it. And when we talked last night, Curry, how's it going, Collins? I'm like, I'm stressed on my mind. This is just the tip of the iceberg about this stuff. But what you said made so much sense. If you had a one Niagara, you could have one overruling person to come up with policy for all 12 municipalities, expedite it, come up with something that makes sense, get permits through. And you know what? I'm a builder bringing you revenue and tax dollar, and a good quality builder for Niagara, not a matchstick house that blows over or anything like that. Making your city better when it says 10 days. Don't wait till the 10th day to get me the permit. Get it done in 3 days.
And
because
it should be cheaper.
If our permit is $206,000 for that month and the rest of your permits combined are $60,000, who's precedent? Who should be precedent? And we're not even asking for special attention. Just do it in your 10 days. That's it. Give me a permit in 10 days so my business can continue.
Right.
It would correct those unsavvy employees and possibly those unsavvy municipalities that don't maybe deal with development in their area or larger scale development on a regular basis, right? I think I told you the story one time, Jeff, where I was up north, I had to draft a subdivision agreement for a developer for the municipality because it had been that long since the municipality had actually entered into a subdivision agreement.
But the most infuriating thing is we're building for another gentleman in this area. I'm going to try to keep it very vague.
Yep.
And we're doing a lot of the work. He applies for a basement permit. 2 days he has it in hand.
Yeah.
2 days. We're going on a month right now, and we don't have it. So is there a prejudice or a bias against our company?
100%.
Because we are trying to scream to get the squeaky wheel some oil, and we're only doing that now because it's way past any form of relevancy to this company, the way they're operating for us to give us our permit or not. Like how infuriating is that? And the bigger thing is this same municipality, and I'm not naming it, we apply for a permit on semis.
You want to so bad, eh?
Oh my God, I would love to. Same municipality applying for a permit on semis, which we've closed on for land, $700,000. And let me tell people, when people are upset about the interest rates, when you're building and you have lower terms on it, your interest rates are anywhere on a great deal at 8% to 12% or higher right now. So 8% on $700,000, we apply for a permit. I'm sorry, as the city, we accidentally rezoned the property. You can't build semis on that property. We're
accidentally rezoned.
WTF? What do you mean? Oh, we see what happened. I'm like, where's the public notice? Because if you change a zoning in a municipality, there's got to be a public notice board up. Nothing. We've been there the whole time. Draft plan approved. All the zoning's in place. It's approved by the city. We accidentally changed the zoning. Okay, no problem. Revert it. No, we can't do that. We got to go through the process with council and everything. Expect 2 to 3 months. Okay, no problem. Let's calculate with 3 months of $700,000 at 8% cost.
$5,600 a month.
$14,000. Sorry about that. Eat that $14,000. Sorry about that. And when you're in a pandemic and you're coming out of it, has the market changed on a dime at all in the last 2 years? So when it goes downhill and you're expecting $900,000 a unit, and now you're at $800,000 a unit, and that 3-month delay when we could have had it sold versus when we did have it sold, the potential for loss on that is not the $14,000 on your carrying cost, which is just the tip of the iceberg. It could be the fact that we lost anywhere from 50 to 100,000 on each unit on 2 units because of incompetence. And this one Niagara thing, if done properly, the top of the food chain, you could have the best of the best taking care of this stuff and overlooking everything, because shit trickles down. If you have a bad leader, everyone else underneath you is just garbage.
Yeah.
You got a top dog up there who's doing it right for all 12 municipalities, and you can pay him properly and retain him, and then you have good policy made for all 12 policies. Then they could say 10 days, and it's not even questionable whether or not we turn it around. So here's a very simple way to do it. I've got a permit for you. I hand it to you, Curry. You work in the front desk. You have a checklist of everything on that permit. Is it all here? No, it's not here. On day one, you need this, this, and this. Quick review. You get these 3 things for it. We'll have everything 10 days start now. So really it's not starting day 1 because I missed stuff on me. Day 2, it starts. Okay, now we have to look at it. Should we wait till the very last day to do this? Probably not. That's probably not good business, right? Because really it's business, but is it not good business because I work and I don't care? I'm not going to lose my job. So screw it. I don't care.
Private, public sectors are 2 different things though too, Jeff, right?
But they shouldn't be treated that way. They should be treated that way because really each municipality is a business.
It is.
And how do you grow your business? By you putting quality in your city, and quality builds in the city are going to expand the desire to move to that city, which there's more demand in your city. There's more building in your city. There's more building in your city. There's more tax dollars in your city. There's more tax dollars in your city. Your city can run more smooth.
Yeah, but
you
you
have the ability
care,
to improve
Jeff.
stuff.
You care.
But I don't want to care anymore because I'm so pissed off right now.
Well, you know what?
My partner wants to change municipalities because of the incompetence.
That person in the chair at the municipality probably stopped caring 5-10 years ago or never cared at all, right?
Well, election's done now, so we don't need to care again until the next election's up, and then that year we'll care. But that's Curry, when you
quintessential
said that last
politics,
night,
right?
It was like, it was like, that makes so much sense. And if
Waterloo
not for municipality thing, from just the building department, one building thing for all of Niagara would work to start. And then you could start there and show how much more efficient it is and how much happier the builders are. And then you could say, well, it worked for this. Let's expand that right there. Because you could get the best of the best in the region. Not one municipality's got a great mayor and the other one's got a mediocre mayor. Let's take the best of all 12, and then they can train the other mayors underneath them and still have different areas, right? Like you're talking about Port Dalhousie or
too
Dane
stubborn.
City.
They're too stubborn.
Well, they don't want they don't want to lose all the positions of jobs like that, or it's an ego thing where one mayor doesn't want to lose the other mayor because they've got that right there, right? Yeah. But let's see what's best for the municipalities or the area, because Niagara is, I think, one of the best places in the world to live. Period.
Absolutely agreed.
But
you're chasing a unicorn, right?
If you're getting the garbage builders coming here, which there are some in Niagara right now, and they've got houses that are just repetitive models that look the same.
Yeah.
We're losing the whole flavor of Niagara. There's no quality anymore. And there are some great builders out there. But if you've got a good one in your municipality who wants to work there and you treat them like shit and cost them tons of money and now harm their reputation, do you think they want to build there anymore?
See you later.
And begging for help on it. Begging on our dollar. And it's just anything but helping out that's happening. If you want to know which municipality I'm talking about, call me. Be happy to tell you directly. Not do it on the podcast. But I'll talk to you and show you the email proof.
It's bad.
This is just one. I'm sure there's stories like this.
If there's anyone up at Queen's Park that wants to talk and reach out to Jeff, by all means, reach out to us here on the.
I actually talked to an ombudsman, and they said, "Look, we can't help you. We can investigate it, but we're not going to implement change." They said, "You want to implement change, you got to go after them to go after them for damages, and you got to make it so they risk money out of their pocket or they don't care." That's what the ombudsman said to me. Which is how sad. Insane is that? How insane is it? Like, where's your pride in your city?
There's not though, Jeff. That's the problem with the world, right? They don't give a shit.
Like you look You look at South Niagara, where South Niagara has, larger lots and less building going on, less density, I should say. There's lots of building going on there because that's the only spot that has land. But you and I have a mutual client, actually 3 of us do, that bought a land in one of those cities, and the residents don't even want change, right? The residents applied against.
That's different though, because in that particular case, I went to the council meeting for it.
I know.
And the council was suspicious, and this was idiotic too, because we were taking a 29-acre parcel of land and trying to sever two 2-acre parcels off of it, 27, and then put a 20, like a 2-acre, and a 23.
Yep.
And the council was suspicious that a resident there said that we don't trust builders at all. We think they're going to put a subdivision in there, which was redundant because that would be a whole different application.
Yes.
Which they could shoot down. But under air of suspicion, 3 of the 5 councils shot it down, forcing our mutual client to go through a tribunal at extra cost to fight it. And the difference is you've got 5 councillors that can be swayed easily with persuasion and emotion. And then you go to tribunal and it's fact-based.
Yes.
Right? It's through the eyes of a lawyer, more or less. And once that became involved, it was a slam dunk. It was approved. But now there's an additional cost of 25 to 30 grand of carrying cost on that, which
less legal, probably, right?
This is taking a 2-acre lot and put in a state-sized house, another 2-acre lot, put a state-sized house, and probably 23-acre, probably enhancing the values of the land and the surrounding area and actually improving that particular municipality.
But people don't want change.
But I also want to point out one thing here. Not all municipalities are bad. And this is where the One Niagara comes into play. Because you could take that overseer and saying which municipalities have great working or operating reputations and all that. So one of them where we've had grading issues in an area that we built 20 houses, there's 6 properties we have a problem. And in comparison to the other municipalities, so this is B versus A, the A was the problem one, phoned up the grading engineer, said, we don't understand what you're saying. Could you meet us out there? He happily came out, spent an hour and a half with us, during his day, and came up with solutions for us to fix it. That we had the homeowners out, our build company, this engineering technician came out, and within 1 day got back to said, if you do this, this, and this, we're happy, we'll sign off. Okay? So from a grading standpoint, what this municipality said, which makes sense, because you're going to have a design done for your house when you're building it that has drainage. All grading is drainage. The water comes away from the property and doesn't flood certain areas. And then when you start digging, you have to improvise sometimes, right? You hit rock, neighbors adding a pool, blah, 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 stuff like that happens, right? So you have to improvise on every single lot. So if they say you need this exact level and this level right there, sometimes you want to kind of massage it down so it changes. You get some very new green guys that say, well, no, this is off by an inch. You need to remove the sidewalks. You got to reduce the foundation. You got to rip with that pool. And then you got experienced guys that say, you know what? This is the way we operate in this municipality. If after a severe rainstorm, in 48 hours, there's no standing water, the drainage works. Is that sensible? That makes sense to me, right? Yeah. Because if you're inspecting water on a property the day after a tsunami of rain that comes through, and people are like, hey, my backyard's wet. It's sloppy. Well, no shit. It just rained for 15 hours.
Yeah.
Like 80 millimeters of rain. But the other municipality says, you know what? It rained crazy. We came out 2 days after rain. We see no drainage problems here. We're good. We're good.
Yeah.
So I'm all for this One Niagara just from a build standpoint. You want to get rid of red tape?
Yeah, but then how do you reconcile that one municipality that doesn't want change with the other municipality, right? That becomes the problem with,
Well, and this is a weird thing. I saw
Paul Revere
came out there the other day.
I supported as well, right? I was behind Brandon when he was pushing hard for this, right? And
how do people do it? I know in real estate, how we do it after we close the deal, we send out stuff looking for feedback on your particular realtor that we can put on Google. Do you think municipality does that at all after going through a permit to see how they can improve? That's usually what you do. Give me constructive criticism, right? But the funny part is, like, I love watching on Twitter the debates, and you got Pierre Poilievre out there talking about how would improve Canada and stuff like that. And one of the things he suggested, which I loved, is give municipalities bonuses for pushing through builds and permits and developments to help out with the shortage of supply.
Sure.
You know, when
like
we're
from the
applying
feds?
for build permits, sure, whatever. Get a pool of money there. They're getting from tax dollar anyways, but benefit the city, because the way real estate agents work, I work my ass off for a client. Why? Because there's incentive. At the end of the day, I get a payday.
Yeah.
And if I do a good job, I get a referral.
Yeah.
Right?
And they come back.
There's zero incentive on the municipality to do a good job for the permit. You know, we have 10 days to review it. Let's wait till the 10th day. That's probably what they're telling each other. These guys are bastards. They're asking for their permit, which they rightfully need, and they're making me feel bad. I hurt my feelings because I didn't get it done. Let's wait till the 10th day and come up with a discrepancy or deficiency, right?
Yep.
Like, it's bullshit. But maybe put some kind of incentive program where if they get it through quickly and they have good scores and feedbacks from the builders and developers they're working for, take a pool of money, give them a bonus or something, right?
Yeah.
Anything like that to incentivize it. Because right now, nothing's
Ford's
working.
supposed to be opening stuff up there for builds, is he not?
There is no recourse for any builder in Ontario to talk to anyone at any region municipality, to talk to Ontario. And let's build houses faster. Who do I talk to? Because it's not working. There's no. Please, anybody out there listening to this that knows somebody to get back to me, talk to me about how we can implement change on this, because it's not working. Since he's put in this build homes faster, it's been 5 times worse. 5 times worse. And there's no recourse, there's no compensation, and there's no way to even give feedback on how they can improve. It's like, oh, this annoying builder who's providing tax money and tax revenue for us, they want to know where their permit is that they've been waiting 30 days for. That's annoying. Let's make it worse for them. That's what's happening.
So
he can say bullshit all the time, but something like that. And if you only put down what people think is, and no matter what, because they're saying is wrong, that's wrong right there, because that idea is great to incentivize municipalities to increase the productivity to help builders. And it's not just builders, because builders are building for residents in the city.
But builders are slow. So taking aside all the red tape, back to today's title of F.U.B.o.C, builders are slowing down construction because their costs have gone way up. Their borrowing costs have gone way up. So we have fewer housing starts this year than we had last year. And I'm sure next year is going to be fewer until we start to see rates come down. So help people increase supply, stop going after demand, right? House prices will level off. If we can get more houses built,
100%.
House prices level off.
More
is there a supply problem? Is there an inflation problem at that point? No.
But I don't think it's just builders holding back from it. It's the stresses of getting permits and the bullshit you got to go through to get it done. It's no longer easy, and the carrying costs because of that are adding up too. Municipalities right now, if building is slowing down, let's increase how we can help them. Make them up.
100%.
We should be partners with the cities because we're making them revenue. Their revenue goes on for eternity after we finish the house in property tax alone, and we stop as soon as we collect the payday. So really, they're probably making more money off a build than we are. Yet, are we treated like a partner at all?
They would be.
Are we treated like a partner at all? Like, if you're making $6,000 a year for 10 years, that's 60 grand. 20 years, it's 120 grand just in property tax. That's more than a builder's making off the house. Never mind the permits, never mind the HST and all that that's getting paid for and all that. So try to help your builders out. Don't screw them over. Municipalities, please. And if anybody knows who I can talk to way up at the top of Ontario where we can shine a light on this bullshit, I'd love to talk to them personally. And I've got all the proof and emails and timelines that you need.
Reach out to
Please.
us. Thanks. Brand Boulevard. Thank you. Sync Lich.
Thank you.
Help us
and
help you stay informed.
Ciao.
Bye, everybody.
Out.